Hello. So thank you for joining me today. Some things that I've already said in the chat that I should probably reiterate here. Sorry I missed Wednesday. We're getting the internet upgraded because I had broadband, which meant every time there was a stormy day, the internet would drop out, and that's not very useful when you need the internet to do everything. So I had to upgrade to a wired internet. And it's a lot nicer now. I can increase the quality of everything that I'm doing. I can watch a movie, I can stream a movie while playing a video game. Brand new world. Uh Today is a Neurodiversity and Autism Awareness Day, April 2nd. So wear light blue, uh use those blue heart emojis, and yeah. And my favorite symbol is the infinity ribbon for neurodiversity, so recommending that. We are going to be looking at today at pop create item, specifically at the OpenAPI 3 improvements that we've been working on, auto-generating code based on an OpenAPI 3 spec. Over the past few days, I've been doing, I was pulled away for a little while on enterprise stuff and on some other issues, and we got the tests all up to date on create so that they're green. That's good. So without further ado, PyCharm. So this is an example of where I'm at. I edit this file, run my not in debug mode, run my auto-generative code, auto-generative. This is what I end up with. I have this check ID token, authentication string. I have type hinting, I have return types. I have docstring that has args, arg types, tells me if an argument is optional, tells me the type of it. We have here this docstrings telling us how to call this function from within Python code and how to call it within in the CLI. So this is pretty cool. We also have one of the weird things that I just couldn't get around without more effort than it was worth was getting rid of this dot format and then passing in an empty dictionary into the format. It was easier to just leave this in there than write a whole bunch of functions and docs to get rid of it. So now this stays. At one point I had tried to just put a format string in here, but then that was kind of borked and I was going to have to do some fancy replacing anyway to be able to get my new snake cased arguments. Let me see one that's made snake case. These auto-generated functions. Oh, here we go. The public key format. Where this one actually, the key was this. The public key format with a period. We formatted it, we made it snake cased, all lowercase, so it's very Pythonic. We've made all of our function names Pythonic, and we've made all of the module names Pythonic, snake case, all lower. So that's really nice. But because I did that, I couldn't do format strings in here anymore in the path. And we end up passing an empty dictionary if there isn't anything there. It doesn't hurt anything, it's just kind of annoying to look at, but it's auto-generated code. So no human's going to be editing this anyway. So it's okay if there's something a little messy in there, I think. Yeah, and we have tons of documentation in here. So what we have here is with pop create item, if I empty this taco project, delete all this code in here. Boom. We have documentation. We have exec modules. We've got everything. Pretty nice. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. I should be. Oh, I should have the thing open. One second. On my second monitor, I need to have. Kind of weak. Time is just flying really fast. Anyone else feel that, or is it just me? Um. Mm-hmm. Um. TV salt project OSS. Mute it. There we go. Very nice. Does the quality look better? It should, because I'm better internet, so. Yeah, it looks like I've got the output going as much as I can. Increased the output rate. Maybe that'll change. Let me see. Where are we at? What's lacking in this? Or are we done? Have we finished exec modules and it's time to write some unit tests for this? I think it would also be fair to say that when we're done with doing all of this, we should run Sphinx. At least in pop create item. Yeah, right. Make a note of that right here. Disabled this because it's made everything take a long time. But then suddenly it didn't. That's weird. Maybe it's because there's stuff in taco. Huh. You know those. We should look at this real quick. If I open up Firefox, GitLab.com, salt stack, you can see, if we look at this one, maybe my frustration last night. All the different times I ran the tests and didn't get it. But Derek came through. It's all working good. Released a new version of Pop Create version 6. We're gonna switch to semantic versioning soon. So prefer semantic versioning and you're tired of all the single digit versions, then congrats. Pup's gonna do that. Okay, default. Right crowd today. Any questions, thoughts, comments, arguments, rebuttals? It's Friday. Maybe I should get on Discord. Real quick, if you want to join on Discord, I will post the link in the chat. We'll open it up to the world today. One second. Oh, so if anyone wants to join the Discord, I just shared the link in the chat. My desktop audio is enabled, so you should be able to hear me from there. Oh, I do have to plug in my mic on Discord. There. So if you use that link, you can join Discord, and you're welcome to join the party if you want to. Just for more of a relaxed feel for our Friday. It's been a long week for everyone. Okay. I wonder what I could say for add raises. Do I know what these might raise? Okay, so there's one more thing that I wanted to look at over here before I think we're done with this. Is in the OpenAPI 3 spec, some of these arguments, let me look at where did I have it? Here it is. paths parameter dot schema. So some of these parameters are strings, but they allow like one or two options. So the question is, how do we validate that? And should I add some code in here for my request format to validate the arguments of the arguments that have schema? And not just can I put them in right there, but like how do we document it? So I was looking at the Google Thinks format for doc strings. I should just share my whole screen so I don't have to. And now. So, example of Google style Python doc strings. This is what I'm using as the guide. This is the kind of doc strings we decided to go with. Python style guide. I didn't realize there was a module level doc string too. If this is what we've done, param1, type, param2, optional. See that our auto-generated code has some of those things. Here we have our optional parameters. Oops. Probably more checks I could do. I'm assuming that the arguments that I'm being given are unique. I think that's a safe assumption to make. If your parameters aren't unique, then your OpenAPI 3 spec is broken. But I wanted to see if there was a place in the OpenAPI 3 or in the Google Sphinx docs for specifying schema for string parameters. There's only two options for what this can be, then how do I show that? Example should be written in doc test format and should illustrate how to use the form. No, it doesn't look like there's, at least in the basic usage of the Google Google style Python docstrings. Doesn't look like there's so this parse mod. This built into Python? No. I don't like function decorators. It is interesting as a way of validating inputs. Oh, I was already looking. See, what I'm wanting to do is let's say that the search term has only two things it could be, right? I want to be able to say that this, instead of being a stream, is a type of schema. And here's the options for what it can be. That's what I want to see. With the choices for what this thing can be. That's what I want. And then if this is not one of these two options, then I want to say, I don't want to throw an error. That's what I want. And I'm hoping that I don't have to write this myself. I'm just hoping someone already has a library that says, cool, you already have schema. It'd be nice. Um, hmm. So the main problem here is that I'm trying to solve is if a string option has only two choices, I need to say what they are. Let's just look at what some of what I'm talking about again. Get away. Here it all. looking here at the pet store example. This is a function is returning an array, then that's a list. I probably automatically determine which functions should be func-aliased to list based on this. That doesn't show quite what I was looking for. Spec. Components, schema, public key response, object, properties, string, the algorithm associated with the key, string, the public key, issuer, what to do with all this schema? Because it looks like these are classes that I should create for validating custom data types. This is what I'm looking for. Something can be done with this schema, but I'm not. I'll just make an issue for it and say that's what we need to get to eventually. And for now, let's just say, let's not deal with schema. Exec modules are done. Let's just leave this where it's at. It's working. Oh, hey, Derek, welcome to the party. I posted the Twitch. You want to join Discord? I'm inviting everyone today to Discord. As far as core functionality goes, I think this is done. I think we have what we need from OpenAPI 3 specs. So let's look real quick then at getting the test done. Getting some tests. Um, Hello, how are you doing? A million? Yeah. So I was, if you're, I don't know how long you've been watching, Derek, but I've been looking at this components part of the OpenAPI 3 spec, and it kind of gives me some classes to work with to validate specific parameters. Because some parameters are like a nested dictionary, and these components give. I know that AWS does this a lot too. Like it'll take as a parameter for some creation function a dictionary that describes uh, a dictionary that represents a config or something. Right. And someone asked us that from VMware the other day was how are we doing validation for our auto-generated functions? Like sometimes there's two choices. We have a string value, there's two choices available. Are we doing validation on that? And the answer is no, we're not. Should we be, like right now, do we say this works as is? And I kind of make a note to do that later, add in validation. Okay, so until we have that, then let's not worry about it. I could spin my wheels forever making this super awesome. Okay, so I'll just open an issue for it. Hmm. Yeah, this is where I'm at and feeling done. I don't have any module level doc strings, but yeah. Uh, let's see. That wouldn't be in the paths, right? Info description. There we go. But this isn't for the module. This is for the entire project. So the modules, I'm basing these modules based on the tags. And so there isn't a no. No, so I don't think there really is a mechanism within OpenAPI 3 to do what I'm doing with this. A placeholder for like, hey, if anyone wants to improve on this in the future, this is where it goes. Okay. Okay, so like at the top level of the module, say, uh, how to generate a model using pop create item, and then have this be a link. Links allows me to use REST, right? Yeah. I always have to look up how to do this every single time I do it. Right. Ah, here we go. Uh, there. Oh, what does that do? I guess if I have a URL that this came from, I should say what URL that was too. You mean there is? I'm looking at one, and title of the project, description of the project, version, and this URL is maybe something that I can include if it was given to me, because it could also be done based on a local file. Hmm. I don't know. Maybe it's right. That would be nice if it happens to use a location for the spec, an external location. Yeah, I don't really need any of the other things. So, yeah, because I don't need examples because it's just yeah. So really, that's it. This whole file's a mess, and I would want to refactor it, but I want to write some tests before I refactor it. It is an excellent start. It just feels so messy to me. I have all these underscore functions and right. Yeah, tests would definitely prevent me from breaking things as I fix it. Oh, nice. Didn't realize we were that high in version. Yeah. One of the things you can do is one of the things I'm doing when I'm parsing from OpenAPI. Um, say something real quick. Try again. I muted that and just brought it back. That's awkward. There, now say something. There we go. Now you're in.
Yes.
I just say come in from any source. You're in. So now that you can be heard. This is where I will.
Cool. I'll turn my mic down a little bit. I mean, do you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. What was I looking for? What we were
I'm
talking
not sure
about.
what you're. I'm not sure now.
Oh, okay. This request format. That's what I was going to show you. So I have right here this method is a getter for some functions. Like here, it's hard coded as method equals get. And so I'm expecting that when you do this for AWS, you can say hard-coded method, like you can do a JSON format for what your call function looks like. And I think we've looked at this before, but what I expect it to look like for AWS, um, is something like this. Give me some Jinja for like the hard-coded, this is what the service module is. This is an example of that request format could look like. Turn this call into this one. Yeah.
Okay, do
That
you
was
still
what
hear me okay?
I can hear you now. It seems like you were muted for a minute. Or you just weren't saying anything. Hello?
Okay, now, sorry, yeah, I was having some issues there with it, but
Oh,
I'm good now.
so what did you think of this format then?
I think that format looks good as a start because the problem is there are going to be times where it's not using a client, I think. Because I don't think all of them have clients. I think, well,
Well,
EC2
then
will be,
even this client then have it be
oh, got it. Yeah.
have
Be a
all
good
of this be
starting
configured
place.
because it'll be something. It'll be a client or it'll be whatever they call the other thing, the resource.
Yeah, I'll start with EC2 and I'll provide you the EC2 spec and you can run it through to see what happens. I'll have to parse out the RST docs because they use the old school docs functioning, but I need to parse it out because the cloud spec is what you pull from to write the doc. So yeah, I think this will be a good start. Is that if Bodacore uses that to do it, we could start with that as a test.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I may have access to a lab AWS environment to do something like a describe call again with the whatever the basic output is. But you also have access with local stack, right? Does local stack, doesn't that require a license?
Uh, it does for some of the more advanced things, but local stack gives you um with local stack pro. We'll need local stack pro eventually, and I had it for a while until it got acquired. Um, but for core things like EC2, look, we can use the free version of local stack just fine.
Awesome. It'd be interesting to dig into the VMware world to kind of see whether there's already some kind of either process or licensing that other teams are also using that we can make use of.
There is, and I asked about it, and then I was working in Pop Create and it wasn't ready for a local stack license, so I kind of let it go for a little bit.
Yeah. Cool. This is exciting, man. The fact that you have that basic layout in the doc strings is the biggest piece for me because I have access to all the parameter docs and even examples. So, wait, that brings up something for me. How do I suppose, did the cloud spec actually have an example? I should look at that cloud spec file again.
Yeah, I just put that in there. I can also send this to you on Slack.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, if whatever the latest and greatest edition of that spec is, I'd love to.
This whole, yeah, I do just randomly. I think missing though the function coded.
Yeah, I suppose with the function, would you have something like an array, or I wonder how you would take in examples.
Examples of how to call something?
Yeah, if I so the AWS docs built in, they have example commands. Like here's an example of actually using this function. And
In that
so
case, I would expect you to put it in the doc. Ask me.
okay. Well,
Oh, because you want to add examples. Like we have the item examples, but you want to add more examples.
yeah, so your default examples that just say, hey, here's how item calls it down, and here's how the hub makes use of it.
Yeah.
The AWS docs has here's an example even with like some of the parameters being used.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I didn't know if is there how I'm not sure how I could maybe give that to you.
All I'm doing here is I'm saying if the parameter has a default value, then I show that default value in my example. And I only show the required argument.
Cool. What we can do then is we could just see what the default output ends up looking like with the examples in the docs, because then we'll have a better idea of how we would need to transform the AWS examples.
Right, and this is just our starting point. I'm sure that we'll update how to create, and we'll change item AWS so many times. Sure.
Yeah, I really love this as a starting place. This is huge because these are really anything that you're going to be pulling in, anything that we would pull in from any SDK. And I guess I should differentiate what I mean by SDK versus bindings too, because Bodo Core is a lot closer to like an auto-generated package of bindings, while Bodo 3 is the SDK where they try to make their own wrapper around Bodo Core for a better experience, just like how AWS CLI is like that for the CLI experience wrapped around Bodo Core, and Idem is going to be like that, I suppose, too, for Bodo Core.
Yeah.
It makes me think.
What big clouds have an OpenAPI 3 spec that we're trying to wrap? That's what I was just looking for with GCP. Does GCP have one?
I don't know. What I would recommend actually is even if they had an open API spec, I'd be a little bit nervous doing that straight up. Because if they, let's say they've already auto-generated a bindings, like a package for Python that's mapped to their API, that will like always be a better bet, just because then if they had to figure out any weird hurdles with their implementation of it, we wouldn't be having to duplicate all those efforts.
Right. And with the Google API, they have this discovery tool, and it only exposes the function that your user has the ability to create. And I think with Idem, we would want to have everything included, not just the things that the person generating the code has the ability to see.
Oh, you mean if someone's making their own?
No, I mean for us when we're doing this with GCP. I want to at launch points. I want another OpenAPI 3 spec to work with. And I'm looking for one in another major cloud.
Oh, I see. You want to see like an actual good example to run through.
Uh, not good. I don't want to diss on VMware, but I mean like a just
Sorry, I don't
another
mean it in that
example.
way. Yeah, no, I mean in a standardized, in a fashion that people are already doing auto generative code off of. Because if they're
Right.
opening one, that means we know for sure they've actually gone through the testing. And in that case too, internally, I do know that VMware has some auto generative code pipelines, but I think that they're associating them with just a handful of APIs that currently support that capability. So yeah, I think it's a good idea to see
Yeah.
what other ones provide one that they're maybe already building.
And maybe that can be a standard because like uh if one of the VMware APIs or if the pet store API isn't exhaustive, like if we could find something that makes a really good standard that's tested, it has
Well,
code auto generated from it, that would be awesome.
actually, I should show you. I don't know if you saw that the Open API, they actually have a few other and more detailed specs other than Pet Store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in the. Where the heck did I find that? Um, I think it was in their GitHub repo. Let me see. Here it is. This whole directory, right? I'll put it into the Twitch chat.
Oh, a REST API is not what I want to consume. All APIs in REST.
Yeah, oops, oh, misspelled. But I put the link in for the examples in Twitch, and there's a because they have version 2, version 3.0, and version 3.1 subdirectories with examples in them. Including APIs with examples, which is part of what I was trying to figure out is where do I put the example code in? Let's see, do they actually have examples? Yeah. If you
Webhook example dot.
Could they even have Pet Store expanded in version 3? Pet Store expanded dot 3.0. Now, does that include examples? I don't know. But I did see that some of the JSON files they have there do say API with examples and include example sections.
Ah. Get. I want to see an example with more elaborate tagging. Callback. Hmm.
Yeah, I tried looking at the
Oh.
pet store expanded, and I don't see a more elaborate tag on that one.
Hmm. Interesting. GCP. Google Cloud.
I think it's Google Cloud Platform.
Ah. So they have a REST API for everything, but
Don't they? They gotta have some kind of Python Google
yeah, because
Cloud.
REST, there's no way they're auto-generating based on their REST API.
Oh, okay. It looks like they have a good collection of libraries.
You're looking at the
GCP
API.
packages. I'm looking at the packages that they generate for Google Cloud.
Oh. Okay, here's Google APIs. Are they writing all this by hand?
I just put also in the Twitch channel a whole selection of all of the package libraries that they list for Google Cloud, which looks like a whole lot of different ones. And I guess I don't know how they're generating them. Oh yeah, like you were just looking on that README RST with the release levels, I suppose when they say GA, but I don't know how they're generating them or how they're managing them.
Auto synth tasks. They have all these auto synth branches.
Ah, yeah, and I think in a case like this might be another way where we'd want to. It'd be interesting to see if we could use their packages similar to how we would use Boto Core, because
Yeah.
then that would be, then we're tied to everything they officially support and have worked through on the Python side. Which is really cool because it looks like I'm looking at Google Cloud BigQuery, for example, and it says it's GA with support for Python 3.6 through 3.9. So I mean, they probably have a decent testing suite in place to ensure that that is the case.
This script is used to synthesize generated parts of this library.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I did find. Okay, they seem to be doing something similar to Boto Core. I'll send you a link. They do use a Google API core package.
Right.
GCP Google API core, because that's. I was just looking at how do you set up auth, for example. And it has a section on authentication using the Google API core. Well, wait a minute. As of January 1st. Yeah, this is continuing to be supported. Because the client uses GRP CIO library, it is safe to share instances across threads in multi-process.
I think we found the same thing. That's what I'm reading
Awesome.
about too.
Oh, yeah, I see the Twitch streams catching up, and it's literally the same thing.
Well, maybe that means we're on the same track if we're both finding the same.
Yeah, you're just looking at docs on a different location. I'm looking at the direct docs for the Google Cloud client libraries, the Python client libraries that I put in a link in Twitch for.
Ah. You can then hold on, look at this. If a cloud API is gRPC enabled, you can generate your own gRPC client libraries for it in any language. To do this, you'll need the API's protocol buffers service definition. You can then follow the instructions for your preferred language to generate and use your client.
Interesting. I wonder if that's how they're generating the Python API core. Because I wonder if, like, let's see, this library is not meant standalone. Instead, it defines common helpers used by all Google API clients. Oh.
Whoa.
Oh, good. It does. It does. I'm looking at what you're looking at now. Looks like it does support Python. Protobuf. Ooh.
This is pretty beefy. What is this?
See the complexity of this stuff. So what's really interesting is when I was looking at Bodo Core, I realized that the docs are rendered so similarly. I might just have it. I might just duplicate where I just target Bodo Core and Bodo 3. So instead of it just simply being AWS Auto and it's only Bodo Core accessible, that maybe it would be smart to, if the ease of use is similar, to just have the Bodo 3 expanded too, since they add a lot of wrappers meant to assist people to make things easier. I mean, that's the beauty, I suppose, of the plugins approach with Idem.
Oh, and they have this proto as a way of. It looks like this proto is like every language can now have definitions for how they mingle this into their format.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I see C#, Java, Go, PHP.
This is very interesting. I wonder if this would be easier to work with than OpenAPI 3. Because it's already giving us directory structure, arguments, documentation.
Oh, you mean if you created another, you extended the support to be, hey, here's if you have OpenAPI and here's if you have Proto?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we'd say OpenAPI 3, Proto, Bodo Core, or like, instead of parsing, Proto would just be another way we could turn things into the Cloud Spec format that we need.
Totally.
Because you can parse this and turn it. Yeah. Well, this is fun exploration. Yeah. Ugh. Let's look at Python.
Man, that's quite a...
Yeah, I don't think we're going to find an OpenAPI 3 spec. I think this is definitely how they're doing it.
Yeah, the protocol buffers. I just don't know how low level, the part that I don't know is how low level we truly want to go, similar to how AWS, because AWS, for example, they have these spec files nested and hidden in the repos that they're referencing to generate Bodo Core, for example. But we decided that we should maybe just start that level higher with Boto Core, so we're not trying to recreate the wheel, especially if they do significant reworking. But I mean, Google API, since they're using their own language guide for protocol buffers, they'd have less of a chance of just suddenly creating a brand new standard. But I bet they've taken care of all the Python code in the Google API core Python library that generates from that, things like the auth mechanism, so that you wouldn't have to recreate it from scratch.
Right.
But this is really good to know, because I didn't really know how gRPC based APIs, how exactly they could do something like this. And so I didn't even know really about this.
I didn't either. So what do I need to download to start?
To start looking at the Python library kind of to wrap around.
Yeah, if I'm going to wrap all of Google Cloud Platform, where's the root? Where's the master list of everything?
Well, you were looking at that one list, that one landing page that had that giant table of all the different Python packages that they made, that seemed to probably abstract away from the Google API core. I do know that the lowest level, I put in the Twitch chat, the one for the GCP Google API core. I think that's the lowest level one that the other SDKs are probably building off of.
So could this be it then? Is this all these proto files? Client proto, context proto, consumer proto, endpoint proto. These don't look like services. Where's cute? Oh, there is so much stuff in. And then here's IAM and oh. Sorry, I'm just getting a headache thinking about
Yeah, that's why I'm not even. That's why I'm thinking this could be a down the road piece if we wanted to support something like gRPC and instead use the abstracted away packages that they generate for Python. Because if we can map calls, I just haven't dug into their stuff before, because I see that they have the Google Cloud SDK, but then there's that lower level of the Python API core, which seems like that would be. I just don't know. I don't have experience with Google Cloud, let alone their Python packages.
when I was looking at it before, GCP. So where I left off.
Okay, yeah.
Here it is.
So what library are you importing for this?
Google API client.discovery. And then I was parsing that and generating execution modules based on what I was able to discover using that. So I had dynamic API subs. So all of GCP, it was just this one file, one giant file, and this ended up, based on what you have access to, would auto generate. Right, it was complicated, and just looking at this gives me a headache again. And it's like, wow, the Google stuff, it was definitely over engineered. But you would do a pop tree on it, and it would show you only the exec modules that you had the ability to see with your credentials.
It almost seems like the way that Google set it up is that you'd have to go about this differently. Because I just looked at some of their older packages, because they used to have the Google Cloud, and then they split it up and now provide per service. And I'm almost wondering would those have to be, because I mean I see GA and betas and stuff in here, and so would that mean that we would have like an item
we're not
auto
doing all VMware stuff under a single repo? We'd have multiple auto repos.
Yeah. That looks like probably what we'd have to do, because I wonder if their auth mechanisms even differ.
So do you have, did we end up getting a space in GitLab for Idem and for Idem auto?
Man, I need to follow up on that conversation with Sage.
It would be nice to, what I would want to see is if we get the GitLab set up and we have just with the latest branch of pop create, start auto generating stuff based on some OpenAPI 3 specs.
Oh, that's really smart. See, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then as we make changes to pop create, it's like we can see how it's affecting multiple clouds. And
yeah, because then that means the rebuild, whatever rebuilds in auto, it uses pop create first to always get the latest.
Mm-hmm.
And then builds out from there based on also the latest from pop create item, which pop create item's inheriting anyway from pop create. But
right,
that would mean you'd always have the latest pre-commits, the latest everything. So
yeah,
and Sphinx docs. Yeah. That's a really smart idea.
Like I'm generating this taco cloud based on one VMware thing, but it was like I can see how multiple projects are. I can see which projects have a pain point because they're using something in OpenAPI 3 that I didn't consider. It would be really nice just to be able to see kind of the health status of all of the clouds that have an OpenAPI 3 spec.
I do honestly like the idea of it being. I think what I'm going to do is get just check and see if I could submit an SRE. Okay, I'll see if we can get that subgroup created inside of GitLab that is parallel to POP instead of init, because then we could always change the permissions at that level, which I think we'd rather want anyway, versus how POP. I mean, permissions are interesting in GitLab, right? When it comes to, you could have all of POP under certain permissions, and you could have sub projects and subgroups under certain permissions.
And I would want to have the GitLab/item be under different permissions than GitLab/item/auto, because the auto ones, it's like no one should be able to open an issue in there because the issue is actually with pop create if there is an issue.
That's interesting. No, that's a good point. Is how do you want to do issues with autos? Because what if the issue,
I think that any issue should be opened against pop create item.
Well, see, what I don't want to get in the habit of, well, here's one. Yeah. So there's two problems. You do want issues in auto because you don't know whether the problem is before they generated the cloud spec. So if they're giving an improper cloud spec to pop create item is doing its best. But if it should have been something done in the auto generative,
open issues about the CI/CD for a specific project.
Correct. Yeah. Same with that. Yep. If something could be wrong with the CI/CD, or there could be new things we want to add specifically into it to give it access to, I don't know, a more extensive testing suite associated with its target
Mm.
cloud.
And one of the
But
advantages to GitLab that I want to get out of doing all of this too is we can have chained CI/CDs. Like we can say, oh, we've pushed a new pop create. Boom, go out and try it out on all of those, everything in the item auto folder. And make sure that tests still pass.
sorry, I got distracted. What was that last note you said?
uh, with we can do a lot more things with CI/CD and GitLab than we can GitHub.
Yes.
We can
Yeah.
say, oh, there's a new version of, or there's a new push to pop create. So let's go and redo all of the, apply it to all of the auto folders and make sure that tests still pass.
Yeah, I do remember talking to Felipe and Bryce before where they did say that GitLab CI even has like CI triggers so that upon the completion of a
Right.
pipe. So yeah, so when pop create is released and like all tests pass, it could be like, okay, now go trigger all the auto pipelines to just run, which would be wild, which would be really cool to see.
And see like hundreds of projects release PyPy at once.
Yeah, like a ton of projects release. Because if it's a change to pop create, then we'd be like, okay, if it's a pop create related change, then you would only do if it's semantic versioning, it'd probably be not even a minor release, maybe, or maybe it would be. It'd be like it'd probably be the third digit would increment by 1 because it's only pop create related. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how we wanted that to do it. But like you said, yeah, that'd be so cool to see, right? Upgrade pop create, all tests are passing, and then see what happens to those other pipelines and if those
that's the next big step too, because once we have some of those auto-generated cloud specs being created, we can start pointing people to those and say, look, this is what you have to work with. You wanted a cloud to work with? We've got some clouds, tons of them.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be. This will be really good because I suppose we'd also want the same thing that if pop create item has an update, do the trigger. Actually, that probably would be the better trigger because pop create item inherits from pop create. So
Right.
you'd probably do pop create update, all pipelines pass, attempt to update to pop create item. If pop create item works with the latest version of pop create and all tests pass, then upon completion of that pipeline, trigger all the auto pipelines to recreate themselves to inherit the latest and greatest from item and pop create.
Because then if we change something like, I don't know, CI/CD templates or...
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Yeah, this will be interesting because what do you do since this is all plugin based? What do you do when pop has a new update? What do you do when item has a new update? Would it probably be that, hey, those won't impact anything because that's purely going to be tested out and built out as a dependency when we do pop create maintenance or pop create item maintenance? Because if I
don't know.
Yeah,
That's a
that
good
probably
question,
makes
but something we can probably pin for later.
agreed. Yeah, because I think we only pinning it purely to pop create and pop create item would probably make the most sense just because if you add a new feature to item or a new feature to pop, you'd probably want to
necessarily going to be used everywhere.
right. And if it was, we'd want to make an update to the template that requires manual changes, not automated changes, if we wanted to implement some additional feature in a base template.
So here's the question then. With something we have with pop create item is we're generating the docs, have this versioning. So is there a way to automate what's changed between each release?
Yes.
of an
So
auto-generated thing? And when do we choose when to blow everything away and recreate it all from scratch, and what to keep and what to delete? Like if we change how something fundamentally works, like when you change maybe how this requirements folder is structured.
yeah, so see this is actually a step. So Pedro, so in the US, even though it's Good Friday and a lot of people have it off today, at VMware we don't. In the US, but at other countries people do. And so Pedro is one of our awesome superheroes on the Salt Open side too with Salt Project. And he's in Portugal and they had it off today. And so I rescheduled a chat with him because he's working on the Salt extensions. And as part of his Salt extensions, he's doing auto generative changelog generation. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah, let's
using
get that.
yes, he's doing that using Town Crier, and that's part of where I want to get Pop Create to get extended to use it because I'm trying to. I mean, we're pretty much working on what's the best tool belt so that all the annoying pieces that are about Python and pop programming are taken care of as much as possible
So
for
everyone
people
can
to
just get to
consume.
writing code and like all the
Yes.
documentation is just there. The
Yes.
release notes are just there.
Yes. Yeah. And if they want to, and then we even could have things in place so that if they wanted to just publish straight to read the docs with their own account, they can. We're trying to pretty much make it as easy as possible so that because this affects Salt extensions and Pop Create projects, these same problems. So yeah, the idea would be that is that let's say Pop Create updates, like we'd have to do custom code maybe around that. Like if a package updates and it now has a new changelog associated with what happened with Pop Create changes, you'd probably have to have something that will point all the way back to the Pop Create MR, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like something that goes, hey, this was an automated release that inherited updates from this MR that you can go
I
to
think
to
that's
find
something
out
that would
more.
more go into the commit changes for the MR. That's something that we could track with Git.
Correct. Yeah. It would be what I'm gonna it'll be interesting to just see how Pedro's doing it because I think he's not necessarily just pointing to commits, but he's also pointing to the merge request. Since usually when you go to the MR or PR, you'll see the discussion too about like what features they're adding. That could be more in
Right.
depth than just a straight commit line.
And the long story short here is I think we're ready to start. This is at a point where we can start playing with CI/CD for this. We're not just playing with it, but we can start doing CI/CD for some projects that'll consume Pop Create Item.
Totally. Oh, okay. Well, okay. This reminds me. Um, then there's another step we need to now embark on, and that is we need to evaluate the pipelines for all tools associated with the tool chain. So that means pop item, pop tree, etc. We need to get all of their pipelines fully passing, fully working,
Which ones
and
aren't
we need
passing right now?
well, some of them. So there's that problem I told you about today. So you need to update actually your pop create you have locally with my changes.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. So there's a few problems. Is that um, there's the pre-commit problem that we ran into today. Is we have too many pre-commit files in different projects that are pinning their pip compile tools to master of the pip compile whatever the heck that project's called that we have under Salt
Right,
Stack.
and that's something different in GitLab.
Yeah, so in GitLab we need to change it because the Salt project, the Salt repo on GitHub is pinned to an older version of it where it's working properly. But right now, since updates are actively happening to master, it's breaking any pre-commit step, which is always the first step in a pipeline on any project that is pinned incorrectly. And so we need to like go through and check
So
which
all
ones
of
are.
these projects could be failing
Yeah, if they're pinned to
pre-commit.
the wrong, yeah, if they use pip compile for
Okay.
their versioning. So I think Heist doesn't. I don't remember if Heist unless they introduced it.
Well, pre-commit was passing, so
Well, yeah, but when did it last run?
I pretty 6 days ago.
Yeah. these problems started happening within the past 24 hours, where if you rerun pre-commit on certain, if you rerun what previously worked, it will just fail now if it's incorrectly configured. So you'd have to check the pre-commit config file, and if it doesn't say rev master, you're good. But if it does, then you're not good. Well, I did send you a PR that fixed an MR that you approved. I can't remember which project that was on. That did fix a different pipeline. No, it was let me check. There's a different pipeline that we just recently fixed, which was for, like, I think I have to go into places potentially like Idem. Oh yeah, Pop. So I have Pop updated here. Let me just confirm that I have it updated. So do I have an MR in Pop or not? Let me check.
And you did see I asserted that I'm just snake casing everything for every cloud. I get tired of looking at camel case from the VMware spec and for all the arguments. So you don't have to worry about that for Idem AWS Auto. It's just that'll be the Idem way.
See, that's what I love about the cloud spec conversion piece, is that whatever has been standardized from the cloud spec conversion, I don't have to be concerned about.
Mm-hmm. You just pass me what AWS needs. Example of where that's at. Yeah, here it is. Here's one where it took authorization, which was capitalized, turned into a lowercase, but when I'm actually making the call, it's capitalized again. So, very fancy. Right here's CSP auth token. Here we have it documented as snake case, but dashes. So I'm gonna push this code to pop create item. I know I shouldn't be pushing the master in general, but pop create item, I think it doesn't have any tests written yet. Still early enough.
Okay, well, in the meantime, I'm opening a PR to Pop to fix its pre-commit. See, isn't that one also broken for the same reason?
Oh, you haven't opened it yet.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me actually submit it here.
And that initiative to get rid of branches called master. We're working. You might be able to take a Swagger spec and plug it into OpenAPI 3 version of it. I think. possible that it'll just work. I want to try this swagger spec.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That the similarities could be close enough.
Yeah, that might work. But where is it? Where do you find a swagger spec? Is it just hit and miss which things happen?
At the moment, that is correct.
I just gotta click on a whole bunch of these until I find one that.
Yeah, I can't. I remember there was a Swagger one of the last times, but it's hard because they have such a large API listing. And
Right.
that page you're just looking at for VRA, for example, had like nothing on it. That's because their specs are broken, I think, or not really sure.
Um, is there a place where I can just search for it? Search for one?
Good
Holy
question.
smokes, there's a lot.
Okay, cool. I just fixed my pipeline for my merge request. Pop is passing pre-commit. It's running the other tests now, though.
Hey, there's a VMware open source blog. Wonder if Idem has showed up on that yet.
Actually, it has shown up there.
Really?
Yeah. A while back, Idem, Pop, Heist. I can't quite remember. There was a single blog post at one point.
Hey, look, Nick Hughes even made it in here.
That's right.
Huh. Um, this is just me being curious now about this blog.
Yeah, I think we now and then have been. I think Chunga may have posted on the blog before. I'm not sure because there you see it, Salt enhance a number of key open
Yeah, and
source
that one's written by
projects.
Tom, so
Yeah. Okay,
how
cool.
do we get
Mine.
item on this list?
Yeah, we should have a few. We should also have Salt Project, maybe Salt Project in general. Um, that would actually be a really cool type landing page for Salt Project because we're right now trying to figure out our doc strategy associated with all our different places.
vSphere automation SDK? REST API document. Is a REST API parsable?
I
Like,
don't
can we
know.
turn REST API into a?
I'm not sure if there's a call you can make or a documentation endpoint perhaps that can include the whole outline of what's available. But I think it would depend on how well their docs are and if you'd get stuck scraping docs. How you doing on time? I know you wanted this. I think the stream was scheduled to be done at a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I guess I'm good right now. Going. Are you? Are you about to done?
Well, I got that pop merge request ready for you to approve, and I'm probably going to start digging into some of the other repos to ensure that their pipelines aren't broken. Um,
Wow. Did you use pop create to get this? Or did you copy it from somewhere else?
I took a lot of it from what we've been doing in pop create.
Okay. But you manually updated this.
Correct.
Wow.
I kind of just copy pasted a lot of this same stuff over.
Well, tests are passing. Burger. This doesn't justify a new release. Changes the PIC.
Correct. Yeah, and I should actually test the docs generation to see if Knox needs to be updated or if it works the same way. Yep, I gotta update. I gotta update Knox in Pop also.
I'm I'm looking for things that can consume a REST API because that's another possibility. Document. Called protobuf. I thought if I did a JSON request to the homepage of the URL that it would just give it to me.
No, I don't think. I think they have to somehow extend their API to even allow for it, and I think it then probably becomes permissions based. And there might be a whole lot of other problems because I've developed tools for REST APIs before, and I just wish there was a standard way to be like, give me everything, so I don't have to build it myself. But I think it'd be probably more of a case by case basis on whatever how well their docs are and tooling is.
Well, no easy way to parse that I can find. Giving up on it. Hey, here's nice. Found one.
Oh, for Swagger 2 or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna try a Swagger 2 spec.
Did you also see that the Open API spec examples also had one official example for Swagger 2? Kind of like how they had Pet Store for 3.
Oh, hmm. No, it did not have a good time parsing for some reason.
I'd probably do a test with the official Swagger 2 example in that OpenAPI repo before trying the VMware one, just in case that it's out, not necessarily a valid spec. Or actually, did you look at those tools that I linked you to previously that were for spec validators?
Did you have one for Swagger?
Yeah, hold on one sec.
When I realized I've been sharing Firefox, but everything.
All right, I just dropped into Twitch some links that might be helpful. I think Spectral. Is it Spectral or is it Swagger? But it might be Spectral. That's linter includes OpenAPI 2 and 3, which should be Swagger.
Oh, interesting. A linter with custom rule sets. Um, does Spectral specifically use Swagger?
It says in the description on that right-hand side, it says baked in support for OpenAPI 2 and 3. And OpenAPI 2 is the same as Swagger v2
Ah,
spec.
Long story short, I don't think so. I can just have it be Swigger.
Got it.
Giving me all kinds of errors. Oh, red paths. I might be able to. Hmm. Looks like I got it working now.
Awesome.
Run it. Let's see what this project looks like. Taco. Oh wow, we have multiple tags in here. Exciting. Cute. Hmm. Mm-hmm. There's some issues with Swagger.
Issues with swag or issues with the, like, what do you mean?
I think fundamental issue with Swagger is that it doesn't seem to be giving me parameters. I'm not sure if it's Swagger or if it's just this specific document that I was reading.
Oh, were you using an official example doc or were you using
I was using the one that I got from
VMware?
VMware.
I'd say use test with the example swagger first.
Because then I know that it's official Swagger because it's on the Swagger website.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah. Is it interesting? Get something out of this though. I'm not considering the base path. Oh, OpenAPI 3 doesn't take into account that base path. Mm-hmm. I think Swagger is a different. I'm gonna have to do some things to make Swagger fit the OpenAPI 3 spec, and because of that, it's gonna end up being a different together.
That makes sense.
Let me come over here to. Swagger.
I'm gonna have another merge request coming up soon here for you.
I think that's where I'm gonna leave off for the day. And then over the weekend, I'm going to auto-generate some unit tests. And I want to have a test that tries to generate Sphinx based on the docs that I've created. Could you tell me, Derek, how do I start that? Do I just
How do
run
you
Sphinx and point it at the folder I want it to create a spec based off of?
for the auto build piece?
Well, I want to, because the Sphinx stuff, it's going to happen on its own, but I want to have a test that tries to build everything with Sphinx.
Yeah. So if you look at Pop Create's test pipeline, you'll see that I added kind of a new set of tests at one point because I wanted to I wanted Pop Create to create a new project, and then I wanted it right after that to and actually not in the Pop Create template, but in the Pop Create project itself. Sorry, yeah. So tests it's actually in the GitLab CI of the Pop Create project. Is I added some extra tests that say generate the
So
build.
this is where it's happening.
Yeah, I say build Pop Create and then run tests that include the Nox commands that should work. And so you'll see I'll have like a Nox e docs.
So this is what will make the docs. And is this being propagated to everything that's created with Pop Create? The same kind of thing.
The same like automated testing of
The same GitLab CI.yaml.
The GitLab CI is different for new PopCreate projects. It does not include building. I don't know if it includes building docs. Maybe it does. I don't think it does.
I think it probably should though.
That's a very good point. I think it should too. Is it should have a step that builds the docs and even does a GitLab pages deploy, which I could add in an MR for that because it takes
Sure.
it takes some extra steps that are different from PopCreate's project.
All right. Then yeah, I'll go with this, and then I'll generate some tests based on the cloud spec, and maybe write some tests for pop create items. That way, it can be refactored safely. But until then, I'm gonna hop off Discord and be done with streaming and this for the day.
All right, sounds good. I'll be sending you a merge request or two also later today.
Perfect. Thanks, Derek. And thank you everyone for participating.